Hello friends, it's Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. Welcome to Wonderful Wednesday. This is a weekly paper crafting tutorial that I do here on my YouTube channel, where I share ideas and products and tutorials to inspire you to get your beautiful papers and supplies out and get crafting. This month, of May 2025, we've been working all month with Ciao Bella's stunning Timeless Moments collection. I did a full preview of this paper last month so that you could get a look at it. This is the 8x8 pad. So I'll link to that up in the corner so you can go take a look. This paper disappears very quickly, so if you want it, you better grab it. And what are we making? We are making a gorgeous shaker card folio. Now I know this is supposed to be Wine Back Wednesday. I just drew a blank. I couldn't think of anything to work with other than this paper. So I pulled it out and used it again and kind of redid an older design for a shaker card, for a card folio. And I just changed it up by adding a shaker frame to the cover. I'm going to teach you how to use just plain rectangular dies to create this shaker, this beautiful shaker frame. And then I've got some Reneabouquets goodies, this sweet little spoon filled with German glitter glass, a little bit of lace, vintage buttons, beautiful Reneabouquets, posies, and these sweet teapot and teacup and tea bag dies here on the front. The colors on this are just magnificent. I hope the camera picks it up. This is a 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 top fold card base, which means it stands up beautifully for display. Now, what makes it a card folio? Well, when you open it up, there is a pull-out in the top section. And I've done these lots and lots of times, but I changed up the design a little bit this time and turned our pull-out into a pocket. So we can tuck a little sweet tag in there and a lovely little photo mat or note card. Isn't that fun? So it's so easy to do, and I'll show you how to do it. Most of this tutorial deals with putting the base together. Here's our pull-out section, and we've got magnetized pages. So it pulls out like this. We've got a couple of little flip elements here. We've got a sweet little side pocket here. Another little flip with room for a photo, or just, I like these just as lookbooks. And then here we've got a little tip-in page, double tip-in page. Super sweet, room for a photo, journaling, whatever you like. I just think this is a lovely project. On the bottom, we have a small pocket with a chocolate, a little tea bag wallet. This has a little seal on the back, and I've got a tea bag and honey crystals in there, dressed it up with a little bit of that same lace, and a sweet little bookmark. It's just a slip over the top bookmark, so super simple. And another little journaling card where you can write a message. These card folios make fantastic gifts. People are always amazed when they start pulling things out and they see how much you've managed to fit in here. It doubles as a gift, so even though it's a little bit more expensive to ship, it is well worth it because the card itself is the gift. So if you would like to learn how to make this quick and easy card folio base, stick around because the tutorial is coming up next. All right, friends, let's put this little card folio together. This is such a fun project and a little bit different than a tea party in a box or anything like that. I've made dozens and dozens of these over the years, and they're always a blast. So you're going to start with 2 sheets of 110-pound cardstock. I like Michael's White Dove Recollections. It's very sturdy and very nice. It has a smooth finish. And you're going to cut, stack them together and then cut 2 5 1/4 by 8 1/2 inch pieces. Put score tape on one of the 5 1/4 inch ends. This is 1/4 inch score tape. And I'm just going to use my Score Pal to help me line this up perfectly. I'm going to overlap the other panel over the first one. and just press that down. And then I'm going to place this on my score tool, and I'm going to score this at, let's go 7 1/4, and we're going to fold at that 7 1/4, and let's go 3/8. That gives us room to add some those fun elements on the inside. And then we're going to go 7 1/4 again. I folded it. We're going to go 7 1/4 again. And this is going to fold up on the inside and be a shallow pocket. So we have a 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 top fold card base with a little pocket on the inside, and it looks just like this. As you can see, I've lined the inside with 5 1/8 by 7 1/8 inch pieces of our pink, of a pale pink cardstock. And then for the cover, I cut out this 5 by 7 image of this beautiful little bird in teacups. And I've matted this also on a 5 1/8 by 7 1/8. I decided I want to make a shaker frame, but because this is a large image, I don't have one that's big enough. So I pulled out my spellbinders. These have been out for a long time. They're card creator dies. These are the 5 by 7 Matting Basics B. And I pulled out the largest and the next largest, and I lined them up on my white cardstock, taped them in place to keep the margins even, and ran it through my die cutting machine. And look what happens. You have a perfect shaker frame. Now I'm going to put this into an embossing folder to create a raised edge, and then I'll ink along that to make it really beautiful. As a bonus, we have this lovely little die cut card panel. So that's a really fun tip. I'm going to run this through my embossing folder. I'm going to back it with acetate, which is going to make it really sturdy. And then we'll have a shaker frame to go over our image that will be absolutely beautiful. Isn't that fun? Here's our finished frame. It's so pretty. First I put it through the embossing folder, and then I went direct to paper, rubbing this speckled egg distress ink over the raised design. And after that, I came in with speckled egg distress spray stain and just lightly spritzed. So you have light and dark. It's very, very pretty. I've lined the back of this with 1/4 inch score tape. And I'm just going to peel this off. And then I cut a 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 inch piece of acetate paper, clear acetate. Now, if you don't have acetate, you can actually, and I've done this before, use the clear cellophane packaging that your paper comes in. It's not as sturdy, but in a pinch, it will work. So I'm just lining my acetate up, and I know this is hard for you to see because it's hard for me to see, and I'm right here with it. I want to get this down nice and straight. And I'm going to come in with 1/4 inch foam tape, and I like scrapbook adhesives. Scrapbook.com exclusives has really nice 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch foam tape, and if you get it when it's on sale, it is actually quite reasonable, which I also like. When you're doing a shaker frame, you want to make sure that you butt the ends of your tape together. You don't want room for any leaks to occur. You want to keep this really snug and nice. All right. And I went with the speckled egg because the blue teacup is kind of a gray blue teacup in the stack, and it's kind of a nice relief from all the pink. So that's why I did that. Okay. And I'm going to put down, this is the 3 millimeter thick. I'm going to come in with a 1 millimeter I like that they also make different widths to their foam tape. It's nice. Because I want just a little bit of room in here so I can add some goodies. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing. But you get the idea. You just go around like this, put down your foam tape, and then you're going to come in with your shaker mix. So I've added my frame and my sequins, and look how pretty this is. It sparkles and shines. I just want to add over here just some simple hemp twine. I'm not going to do any kind of fancy bow treatment. And I'm just going to wrap this around our frame a few times and then come in. I'm going to go underneath and I want to tie a knot, I think right about here, because I think I want to put a bow and maybe a small flower cluster right here. So I went underneath and now I'm just tying a knot. And now I'm just going to tie a simple bow. I used a double strand, so it's automatically going to be a double bow. Just like that. Kind of shabby chic. I might tuck like a little piece of lace in there along with my flowers when I get ready to do that. All right, let's finish up this cover. I've threaded some little charms, T-charms, onto a bit of thread. And I'm going to put these on top of our bow cluster so that they dangle down. I'm going to add some hot glue right here. Then I've got this little tiny piece of lace that I'm going to put on top of that. And then I put together this little, precious little flower cluster using Reneabouquets, miniature roses. And I'll link to all these products on my blog. And I'll link to my blog in the description box below this post. So I'm just going to pull these down before that glue sets up hard so that they can be seen. They're so cute. There's a little cup, a little porcelain cup, a little porcelain teapot, and a little silver tea bag. So that's really sweet. I want to swing this part of this bow up here if I can. There we go. That's pretty. Okay. And then over here, I've got another little piece of this lace, and I just kind of twist it like this because this is open lace. It's a little, hard to glue down. I'm going to put it right here on our frame. And then I'm going to put a little glue on top and a threaded button on top of that. I just think vintage buttons always lend a really lovely shabby chic vibe to a project. And the last thing is I prepared this little spoon, this adhesive right here. I filled it with glue, and then I filled it with glitter glass from Reneabouquets. So I'm going to just put some glue right here, catch that handle, and that will set up. Until that sets up, it's a little touchy, as we say down south. So I'm just going to let that set, and we're going to move on to finishing the inside of the card. You're going to repeat that process of joining your papers with another set of 5 1/4 by 8 1/2, just like we did for the card front. This time you're going to score it at 5 and at 10, then fold, score it at 5 and 5 1/4 and fold. And what this is going to do is form a little flap, and we're going to put magnets here and here so that this can be a little I want to show you how to install our little pull-out page. I've cut 1-inch gussets. just going to score these in half real quick. The reason I like to use gussets is because it gives us the full width, and it's a really simple way to add a pocket feature. So I'm just going to fold these and crease them well. So here's our front, here's our back. This is what's going to attach to the top. And we're going to put these gussets because then we have a hidden pocket, which allows us to tuck in a little something extra. So when you're doing a gusset, the folded edge goes on the outside edge, and I want this to come all the way up to the top edge. I'm not worried about the bottom. I don't want it to show over the side, so I'm just checking that. All right. Okay, and then this little piece on the bottom. And this just keeps things from falling out the bottom. All right. So we fold this up. And this is going to go just above, like we want to have even margins with this. So I'm just putting this in place. And then I'll cut a piece of patterned paper to go here. But what this allows us to do is tuck a tag or something in here. For these little flaps, and I'll go ahead and do this now, these are, our flap is 1.5 inches, and this is just under 1.5 by 5 1/8. So I'm just going to glue these. Let's go ahead and add that magnet now. So I've opened this up. These are basic gray magnetic discs. They're a little bit hard to find, but they are my favorite because they're really strong and they're super easy to use. So I'm going to put that down. I'm going to put just a little piece of score tape over it as insurance. This is the negative. It goes right to the positive. Do you see how easy that is? And this way you always end up with perfect placement for your magnets. See? And then just a little piece. And of course, we'll take that score tape off when we are ready to add our patterned paper. Okay. Okay, on the top, there's our front, remember? So I've lined this, these little liners, I think they were like 1 5/8. I'm sorry, 1 3/8 by 5. And I did that front and back and added this other little rose cluster here as a little turn tab. We're going to take our tape off here. Here's our front cover. And we're going to glue this down. And remember, these are 4 7/8 by 5 1/8. So our liners are 4 3/4 by, I think I went 5. Okay. And I cut this out of the A4 pad, scored a little flap on the bottom. This is going to wrap around the back. It's just a little interactive feature to make the page more fun. And then you could actually, you know, put a little photo or something back there if you wanted to. This goes like this, and this will still catch. So we're all right there. And then we're going to open it to the inside. Glue down our liner papers. We're going to also add magnets here because this wants to flap open when the card is standing up. And that's not what we want it to do. So from the 8 by 8, I cut out 8 by 5 inch panels of patterned paper, and then I scored at 4 3/4 to make these little flap pages. So this one is going to go right here. These are so cute. And then this one is from another page, and again we've got the bird and the teacups. All right, I've already placed my magnet on the right hand flap. All right, put a little bit of score tape on there. And then I cut these out. And you don't want to glue over the edge, obviously. So isn't that cute? So now I've got these little turn tabs. Got room in here for a little photo or a little journaling. So those close. This way. And this is the page that we pieced together. So I had scraps. This scrap, of course, these are both 5 1/8 inch tall. This scrap was 3 5/8, and this scrap was 3. I scored 1/2 inch flaps on the top and the bottom, trimmed out the corners. These fold, and this becomes a sweet little side pocket. And this is going to line up just like this. So the height of this is 6 1/8 because this is 5 1/8, so you want to go 6 1/8. And then I've got a little flap to go here. And a little flap to go here. And you can see I just scored along the bottom just to make a fun little interactive feature. And now this glues down. And that finishes that little pull-out folio. Back here, I cut out this image, matted it on gray cardstock, put a little scrap of pink on the back so you can write a note. This tucks into our hidden pocket. And then a tag to go. This is a Graphic 45 square ivory tag. I've left the back blank so you can write a note or add a photo. I've got this other tea canister, and I'm going to place, before I glue anything down, I've got this pocket watch, and a bit of lace. Go right here. I'm going to take this little bit of lace, put it down right there. All right. So we're going to put down our tea canister. And the reason I put all that glue on all those other parts is this way I can work quickly. So this is going to go right here. This pocket watch is going to tuck back behind it like this. This little flower is going to tuck back behind like that. See, we're just creating simple layers without adding any thickness, which is good at this point. This butterfly goes right here. And these are all just fussy cut from that A4 pad, which is really a wonderful thing. And I'm not going to stick this in the pocket until everything is dried, but this will fit. I'm just going to put this right here on the lid. This will fit in the pocket, and it looks so pretty. I'll just show you, but I won't leave it in there. The lace sticks out, and then this is back behind it. Down here on the bottom, of course, we want to go 5 1/8 for the width, and the depth is going to be, let's go 1 3/4. Oh yeah, gussets for inside this pocket are going to be 1 by 1 3/4. I'm just going to fold these in half. So we have gussets on this pocket as well. Here. And here. And then your adhesive goes here and here, and you just made a quick and easy pocket. Here's the inside of our card all finished up. I just lined it with patterned paper. Here's that extra little piece that came out of the inside of the frame, and I trimmed it down and added this image to match the front, and you've got room on the back to write a note. And then I made just a little slip over the top bookmark to go with that. So that goes in that pocket. And a little chocolate, because you know, sometimes you just need a little chocolate. What a fun folio this is. I just love this shabby chic collection. I've enjoyed working with it this month. I hope you have too. I will be back next week with our tag of the month featuring Stamperia Hidden Grove. It's whimsical, it's fun, it's like gnomes and little mushrooms and little woodland creatures. So that is it for me, Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back next week. Go get your craft on. Bye.